the Dragonet with no destiny, according to certain other idiots, and not according to her. I hatched on an island of smoke and fire, under a volcano that breathed death all day, and hid the stars and the 3 moons at night. My tribe was dying. There were fewer eggs every year, and even fewer of those survived to become Dragonets, and all of those were starving, along with everyone else. Nightwings keep their secrets well. None of the other tribes suspected what was happening to us. None of them even knew where we lived, but they knew about our powers of mind reading and seeing the future. And that was what was going to save us. A prophecy. The prophecy. That stupid claw-scraping, moons begotten and prophecy. Every dragon on Pyrea probably knows it by heart, unless you're an ignorant rainwing. Or at least, they've heard the important verse, 5 eggs to hatch on brightest night. 5 dragons born to end the fight. Darkness will rise to bring the light. The Dragonets are coming. And everyone knows those about 5 ever so special dragons who were destined to stop the war and save the world. If you've met them, though, you might have noticed they're not all that special. They're kind of sappy and disgusting, don't you think? Especially the Nightwing. He's a walking tragedy. You know why? Because it should have been me. I would have been perfect for the prophecy. I would be brilliant at saving the world. I would also have been brilliant at leading the other Dragonets, proving that Nightwings are the best tribe, and making sure things happened exactly as we wanted them to. Just one problem: I didn't hatch on the brightest night. I hatched 2 years too early. Stupid sniveling moons in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so you know who got a special chosen Nightwing instead? My little brother. How unfair is that? I was even there when his magical destiny landed on him. I was standing right next to his annoying egg in our hatchery, talking to our mother. Her black scales gleamed in the firelight as she curled around it, brushing the eggshell lightly with her claws. "Take me hunting," I wheedled. I don't wheedle anymore, just for the record. "Please, I need help. I keep losing my prey after I bite it, and I think other dragons are eating it before I find it again. So we're clear. I didn't really need help. I mean, I was as hungry as everyone, but I can take care of myself. What I wanted was for Mother to stop being so drippy and boring, and for her to leave that egg alone for even half a second. I can't, little one." Mother sighed one of her long, scale-rippling sighs that made her tail flop over. "What if something happens to my egg while I'm gone? It's so close to hatching now. What could happen?" I demanded. "Do you think it's going to roll away, sprout wings and fly off the island, turn blue and pop out a sea wing instead? It'll be fine, and you staring at it all the time isn't going to make any difference." She fixed her black eyes on me as if to prove me wrong. "This might be the only time I get to spend time with it," she whispered. "The brightest night is coming. Blah, blah, blah," I shouted. That might be the only time you get with me too. I could go get exploded by a volcano tomorrow." She winced. "That's not going to happen," she said. "Mastermind says we have a few more years before another explosion is due." "Huh," I said. "I bet I get blown up before you take me to the mainland. Remember all those promises you made? Or should I say, all those lies you told me?" "Fierce teeth, you were only 2 years old," she said. "You'll get to head to the mainland one day, and when your little sibling hatches, we'll have plenty of time together as a family." "Yuck," I shouted. "That doesn't count. I don't want a drooling Dragonet following us around." No one else I knew how to put up with this competition for their parents' attention. Yes, it was unusual. Well, Mother was special. Let's all clasp our talons and coo and awe. Here's why most Nightwings don't have 2 eggs. Thanks to our horrible Death Trap Island home. Most Nightwings haven't been able to have even 1 egg in the last, I'm not sure, but it's been a really long time. My friend Mighty Claws is the only other Dragonet I know with a sibling right now, but I didn't see why Mother needed another egg when she had me. It should have been exciting enough that I was hatched. I mean, it used to be, and then suddenly she was all, "Another egg is coming, life is so wonderful!" And she wasn't proud of herself and obsessed with it. And wasn't she proud of herself and obsessed with it? It was like she completely forgot about her other perfectly wonderful egg and the perfectly wonderful Dragonet that came out of it. I would think it was stupid Morosier's fault. If you don't know who he is, count yourself lucky. He was losing his mind around then, yelling at everyone all the time. You did not want to stand between him and any lava, just in case. See, Morosier was trying to make sure someone had eggs that would hatch at least near the brightest night. He really wanted some choice cases for his glorious prophecy. Instead, he got only 1 egg with the right timing. 1 blah little egg, and that was the center of Mother's universe. So Mother had just told me that she couldn't leave her precious, boring second egg to take me hunting, and I was sitting there glaring at it and wondering if I could trick it into cracking for me. It was a small for a dragon egg, and black, the color of our scales, so basically looked like an extra lump sticking off Mother's tail. And then we heard the thump 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 of grumpy talons stomping our way, and in comes gigantic Moroseer, all frowning and portentous as usual. "Oh, I've come for your egg, Farsight," he said to Mother. "That's Moroseer. Not exactly a good morning, how are you? Nice grim and sulfur-smelling weather we're having, kind of dragon. But then, neither am I, so I can't respect that." Mother clutched the egg closer. "Mine?" she said. "Are you sure?" Moroseer waved his wings impatiently at the nearly empty hatchery. "Do you see 100 other options, and somewhere?" he barked. He jabbed one claw toward the only other egg in the cave. "That one isn't due to hatch until after the brightest night. Yours it is. Congratulations, you're the mother of a prophesied dragonet. Now hand over that egg." "But right now, won't I get to meet my dragonet?" Farsight asked. "We can't let the egg hatch here and give it to the Talons of Peace later. She could grow up with us, and then we could send her to the continent in a few years. Wouldn't that be nice, to raise her like a real Nightwing?" Mother was doing that dragon thing of assuming her perfect special whole egg had a female dragon inside. "Wrong!" Moroseer snorted. "Unnecessary. Our genetic superiority will manifest whenever this dragonet hatches, and however it is raised. And the Talons need to think they're in charge of the dragonets, at least for now." "Oh." Mother looked down at the obsidian black egg between her talons. "Will my dragonet ever come back?" she asked. "Listen, you're not the mother. You're not the mother I would have chosen either," Moroseer snapped. I'd have picked someone else who knew who the father was. Who the father was, for one thing. Note, it wasn't actually my father. My father died before I hatched, according to Mother. Starflight's father was someone else, but Farsight, I either couldn't or wouldn't say who. Moroseer went on. "It should have been someone with more backbone and less fluff between her ears. Less like Secret Keeper. She's got a sensible head on her shoulders, and she'd hand over her dragonet for a prophecy in a heartbeat. But she hasn't gotten a dragonet. And you do. So do your duty and give it to me." He lowered his voice to a growl. "For the sake of the tribe's survival, Farsight." I didn't quite understand all of that back then. Of course, Nightwing secrets are handed out bit by bit to dragonets as we get older. I've heard of the Talons of Peace, but all I knew is who was that they were an underground movement trying to end the war of Sandwing's succession. But here's what I did understand. Moroseer was taking that egg someplace far from the island. The dragonet in that egg was going to grow up in a world with proper trees and sky and plenty to eat. The Talons of Peace would treat it like a queen. And one day, it would save the entire Nightwing tribe. "You could take me instead," I blurted. "I can fulfill the prophecy. I don't have any fluff between my ears." Moroseer barely he glanced at me. "You're too old," he sniffled. Hold, so send me out later and lie about my age, I suggested. "How would anyone know when I was hatched? I'm scrawny enough. A year from now, I could probably pass for a 1-year-old. "Fierce teeth, stop," my mother whispered. "She's bold," Moroseer said, flicking his gaze over me for a moment, and longer. Boldness isn't useful. Idiocy, however, is not." He reached out and snatched the egg from Mother's claws. She let it go without protesting anymore, although she gave it the most soppy, cow-eyed, woeful look you've ever seen, and made me want to claw her snout right off. "Thank you for your service to the tribe," Moroseer snarled at her. He turned to stomp away. "Hey, think about my offer," I called after him. "Bad things happen to little dragonets all the time. If you need a backup prophecy dragon, I'll be right here." He paused in the cave entrance, a shudder rippling down his spine. For a long moment, he didn't move, and then he turned his head slightly. Just far enough to give his last remaining dragon a dark, thoughtful look. Last remaining egg, a dark, thoughtful look. And then off he went, with the egg that turned out to contain my brother, Starflight, the least bold and most idiotic Nightwing who has ever hatched in the history of Pyera. Was I thrilled that my competition was gone? Did I welcome my mother back with our open wings, ready to be her precious beloved one and only again? I most certainly did not. I wasn't going to be duped anymore. Now I knew how exactly she could drop me. How easily she could drop me. I've seen how shallow her loyalty ran. Maybe if she had begged for my forgiveness, but she didn't. Instead, she moped for ages, and it was so boring, you have no idea. So I spent my time and energy on Morrissey instead. He was the one with the useful connections. He was the one who could get me to the continent, and maybe into that prophecy once he realized how completely Nightwing I am. That's another word for awesome if you're slow on the uptake Sandwing. I followed him around the fortress. I showed up wherever he was lecturing, even if it wasn't my class. I happened to be around whenever he needed a message to send to someone. I accidentally ran into him in the islands in a small patch of forest and coincidentally drove prey in his direction. In my head, I sometimes pretended that he was my father. But did all that work make him like me even a tiny bit? Not as far as I could tell. And did he ever send me to the mainland? Not once. Technically, Nightwing Dragonets are allowed off the island until they are 10. Apparently, we need 10 years of training in how to keep a tribe's secret first. But I was great at keeping secrets. And if my dopey brother could be on the mainland all the time, I don't see why I couldn't at least visit it. Especially once the tunnel into the rainforest is built. It would have been so easy to let me hop through some nights when no one was around. I just wanted to breathe real air and see the stars for a minute. That didn't seem like too much to ask. And I did ask, over and over again, until Morrissey called me a pest and banished me to the Dragonet dormitory. My point is that I grew up in the most terrible place in Pyra, but it made me strong. This dungeon is nothing in comparison. Here, we get to eat every day, and your queen even lets us stretch out our wings more. Or frequently than I can believe. But I deserve to be free. Everything I did, and all my so-called crimes, were for the good of my fellow Nightwings. I was trying to find us an ally who could restore our power. I was trying to save us from being controlled by another tribe. I was trying to make sure we had a real home. We had a real home of our own. And if I succeeded, I'd be here right now. Instead of those bleeding heart dragonets of destiny. I deserve to be part of my tribe again. And they deserve a queen who cares about them and understands what they've suffered, not the teeth grinding mistake they have now. I believe in the separation of the tribes and the importance of maintaining the royal bloodlines. If possible, I suspect you do. Who too? One way or another, I'm getting out of here. If you help me, you'll gain a determined ally who can help you get what you want. If you don't, you'll be just another guard I have to kill on my way out. Fierce Teeth. I see. Quite a tragic tale. What about your fellow prisoner? The accessory to your crimes. Is he a misunderstood hero as well? Is he necessary to your ambitious plans? Or do you intend to leave him here to deceive?